Hey now, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Medium channel and welcome to another Awakening Stories. And I have the privilege and pleasure to invite back Elaine Molloy, very powerful healer and teacher and New Earth leader. And hi Elaine, how are you doing? And thanks for being here.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, yes. So we like to give a minute or two for the live people to get their notifications. So if you're watching this in the video, just hang in there a minute or two. I'll say a few quick hellos. You guys can check out Elaine's uh, bio in the description here. And let me just, while I'm doing this, just if anybody wants to contact Elaine, she does healing, she does remote healings and readings. I had a really good experience with her doing that myself several months back. That definitely helped me out. Um, and so there's her website. If you want to reach out on WhatsApp, there's that also. Um, yes. So what's going on? There's so much going on in the world, and what's really happening, like behind all the craziness out there and all the anxiety and all the changes, is that humanity's awakening. We're going through an evolutionary process that we haven't seen, I don't believe, on this planet for at least 4,000 years, if not much longer. And the way I describe it sometimes, and this has been, I've been aware of this since the 90s, and actually preparing for this time, thanks to my spirits and my guides, giving me the heads up. But the way I've been explaining it is that basically we're undergoing like 1,000 years of evolution in about 10-year time is kind of the way that I relate to it. And it causes a lot of chaos and a lot of havoc for a lot of reasons. Human or survival instinct doesn't like change, so it resists. There's powers that be that want to control everything that can't anymore, so they offer resistance and all of that. But a lot of people are having awakenings, and that's one of the reasons I'm bringing on many different guests to talk about their awakening stories, because everybody has a different style of awakening. For me, my first one anyway, it happened in the late 1970s. I was just riding my bike. It was like a flash of light. I wasn't terribly spiritual, though. I was starting to study martial arts and Tai Chi, so I was starting to build my energy already, but it just happened. And my first reaction was, everything I've learned up until now is a lie, and I need to learn the truth. And that kind of, got me, in trouble a little bit and sent me down a lot of rabbit holes. But I was experiencing things like Kundalini activation. I didn't know what Kundalini was. I thought they were earthquakes. I sincerely thought I was experiencing earthquakes uh, at that time. So, but everybody has a different, experience. And because there a lot of people that are starting to wake up are finding this channel. I've been finding that. And that's why I started the channel in the first place, or my spirit told me to start a channel. I wasn't going to do it without a little bit of a kick in the rear to get going. But and I'm finding a lot of people are having awakenings. They're confused. So I want to bring on a lot of guests that I really respect, and I know that their work is good. And I've also brought on people that have really just found our channel, that have had awakenings. They may not necessarily be working in the metaphysical arts. So not everybody that has a spiritual awakening is going to be a master healer or a master psychic. Some of them may be cab drivers, but they're awakened and they tune into your energy and they know to say the right thing at the right time. So, it's all different with everybody. So on that note, I think I've talked enough. I think enough people are in right now. And so if I can ask you, Elaine, if you'd like to share some aspect of your awakening or what happened to you.
Sure. So, hi, Adam, and hi, everybody.
Hi.
My earliest memory of awakening was when I was age 12, and I've told this on this channel before. So, some people may have heard it already, but I was raised Catholic, and at that time, I had been confirmed into the Catholic faith. So, we have this sacrament of confirmation. And shortly after that, and that meant a lot to me actually, I was raised kind of religious and somewhat spiritual. Um, shortly after that, I was sleeping in a tent in my back garden with my best friend in the neighborhood. And you know that stage, you know, you think you're brave and you're 12 and you want to sleep out all night, but we started to hear funny noises of guys coming home in the neighborhood, and there was a lot of shouting and roaring going on, and then these donkeys started braying. And I don't know if you've ever heard a donkey braying, but they actually are deafening. And so my friend actually got really, really nervous and started to panic and almost go into a panic attack. And I felt this presence come through me, come into the tent actually, and come through me and speak through me and calm her down and say, oh no, it's just these guys coming home from a nightclub. They don't know where we are. They can't see us. And of course, those are just donkeys. Those are there like miles away or fields away. And she felt it and I felt it. It was like a complete shift and a presence that wasn't my own. I mean, I was only 12. And that was my first, wow, what was that moment? And after that, nothing really happened until I was, I think, about 29. You know, I plodded on through life, had my ups and downs, started out in a career. I had studied modern languages, thought I wanted to be in international business. Which I did. I did all of those things, went into international business, but ended up doing work that was not really fulfilling for me. So there was always a feeling of something missing. And so I was working in a company in Massachusetts, and I met a man there actually, and we started to have conversations at lunchtime. And he told me about Yogananda, so Paramahansa Yogananda. And I read his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, and I would say that's a life changing book. From the get go, he tells you about his own level of consciousness. When he was a toddler, he was aware that he was babbling to his parents in a language that he was fluent in, but they didn't know. So he had brought through the language from his past life, from his most recent past life. And he was frustrated with his body because he knew the potential for what his body could do. But at that time, as a baby and a toddler, he couldn't do those things. So I read that book and I followed his self realization lessons. And that's when spirit really opened up to me. And I went on to study then. I don't know if you want me to talk about the modalities I studied.
Sure.
Yeah, so
Please.
you know, I became sort of very unhappy in work because it was my own lack of fulfillment. There was nothing wrong with the work and the people. Actually, I met really lovely people in Massachusetts, but I was definitely searching for something. I was searching for something to fulfill me. And I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't really know how I wanted to help people. So I started studying nutrition, and mainly also to help myself with my own nutrition and my own health. And then I stumbled across Ayurveda, and I stumbled across Deepak Chopra and his book, the book Perfect Health. And Perfect Health was kind of an uncanny book because when you read it, he perfectly describes you, and you're thinking, how could he know those details about me? But it's because he's describing life force energies of the doshas, they're called, the life currents that run through your body. Um, and he also talks about the right diet for you. He talks about consciousness. He talks about simple methods of helping yourself. And I was very taken with that book. And then shortly after that, I saw a course advertised in Massachusetts for becoming an Ayurvedic practitioner. And I felt compelled to do that. So I always say when you feel compelled to do something, that's your higher self. Your soul is talking to you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to find the money, you're going to find the time, and you're just going to do it. So I studied Ayurvedic medicine, and that was the first course in alternative medicine that I studied. And I just loved it. I took to it like a duck to water, as they say. And I found that I was a natural at it, and that led from one modality to another. That led me to using marma massage, which is part of Ayurveda, to discovering that you can move energy in the body. You can use your own prana, your own life force, to help somebody to move their energy. You can channel energy through you by studying something like Reiki or rainbow healing. Ultimately, I wrote my own modality, which is a very powerful connection to sacred geometry. And so it just led me on a completely different path to the one I had started out with.
Wow, that's definitely lots of info, and I can definitely relate. You've described me before about the Ayurveda, and you're
Mm-hmm.
really speaking to you. I often refer to that as a divine obsession, and what
Yeah.
happened to me, I had the awakening in 1978. Then in 1983, I met through through coincidence, but we know that there are no coincidences. A psychic in near Oklahoma City. I was doing helping somebody with some grad work at the University of Norman, and she was doing a tarot reading. She was a psychic. It was my friend's roommate, and I was just peeking around the car, so fascinated with those cards. You caught wind of that. And then when she was done with the reading, she said, "Here, I've got a gift for you." She gave me a book. She gave me a deck of cards. She said, "Go study." So for 48 straight hours without sleep, I just studied those cards, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like my introduction into like doing psychic readings. Um, so you kind of sort of answered this, but if you want to elaborate, like as maybe even as a direct result of the awakening process, were you aware of like new gifts that surfaced at that time,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe new psychic gifts or new energetic gifts or stuff
Yeah.
like that? Or
But for sure, the first gift I became aware of was that when I studied the marma massage, which is the stimulation of points on the body, that we had learned to do it as a two-person massage. And so I was practicing with a colleague on a student, and the student said that on the side that I was on, she was aware of her energy moving. And the side that the other person was on, she couldn't feel her energy moving. So she felt that I was able to direct the healing, but I wasn't aware of that at that time. I was simply following a protocol. So after that, I went on to study Reiki, and I opened up a Reiki practice, and then also a massage practice. I became a massage therapist. They're actually a lovely combination. And through Reiki and through the connection to people's bodies and also to their minds, and you're channeling energy from source, you just develop a facility to tap into not just what's lying on your table, but to their emotional states and to their connection to spirit. And sooner rather than later, I found their spirit guides coming through and their ancestors coming through. And, you know, people speaking to me from the other side. And at first I was like, what's going on here? I didn't sign up for this. But I also had a fascination with it. And I do recall clients. Well, one actually was a client who lives in upstate New York, not far from you. And
cool.
I do recall saying and hearing the word babushka. And I didn't realize, I always thought that word meant baby, but it meant grandmother in Russian. And I relayed to her, I was seeing like this lady in a black cloak, and I was hearing the word babushka. And she got really emotional and said, "That's my Russian grandmother." And so I think that was the first incident, and the Russian grandmother had a message for her. And I was also shown a vision of her future life, in that they were thinking of moving, and I was shown these really tall pine trees. And I was thinking, well, she's married to an Irishman. I was thinking, oh, maybe they're going to move back to Ireland, because that's what I was relating it to, like a colder climate, deciduous trees, or actually the opposite, the evergreen trees. And she said, "That sounds like upstate New York. That's exactly where we want to move." So I was given not only connection to the other side, but connection also to future events. And so it was Reiki really that opened up that world for me.
That's so amazing. So yeah, I mean, you're talking like there's so many things that I can relate to. It's always been like really fascinating how people do healings and then they're able to like access like this information from spirit and source about the
Mhm.
person. I
Yeah,
mean, I've experienced that myself in my own work and my own healings for sure.
of course.
So you've kind of again answered this kind of, I still want to ask, how your awakening changed your life views. I mean, I know one of it is the corporate world just wasn't going to do it anymore, and
Right.
that's happened to me also. But yeah, if you can elaborate on that a little bit, that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Well, what I found working in the corporate world was that I loved the people. I've always loved people, and I've always loved making friends. And while the work was okay for me. I've always loved business too, and I enjoyed learning,
Right.
using my languages and so on. Um, I discovered that I could help people using the gifts that I had learned with Ayurveda and the Reiki. And one of the things I used to do was take pulse readings for the people, the colleagues around me, like the salespeople and the marketing, all the people who were really stressed out and who couldn't sleep. Those people salespeople tend to travel a lot. They sleep in hotels, and they can't sleep. And so I would take their pulse, and then I would match their pulses up to the essential oils that would be balancing for them. And then I would teach them how to rub them on their feet and so on. And they said they would just conk out. They would conk out in the hotel. So I loved being able to help people in that way. But then after, I had developed and out of working in the corporate world, I decided to go on and become a therapist at a colon therapy clinic.
Mm.
I became a massage therapist. I learned a lot about nutrition. I learned how to do something called contact reflex analysis, which is muscle testing, checking the meridians of the body and the organs and so on. And I also learned how to do allergy testing. And so it changed my life completely, really. And it helped me also to develop a career that was compatible with being a wife and a mother, because I don't think I would have been able to, work 40 hours a week and be a mother of three girls. And so it changed my direction completely, and it gave me much more fulfillment. And the more I delved into the gifts, the deeper I got into them, the more gifts that were given to me. So what I'm speaking about really is my earlier years, but nowadays spirit is much more prevalent in my life, and sometimes I don't even bat an eyelid at what's happening. So there's probably a lot more I could say, Adam, along those lines in terms of where my work is going and so on.
Yeah, well, you've definitely said a lot. There's definitely things that I can relate to, as always. You
Yes.
know, like all this stuff would, and this, all this stuff would already in your soul record. I mean, certainly you add on to that soul record through the
Mhm.
experiences in this lifetime. It is all definitely already there. And I remember like after my mediumship opened up, that happened around 2001. It just started to open up, and remember, my support job was waiting tables before I could do my psychic work full time. And remember, I would just get messages for the other waitresses. Like I get, they like you were saying, they give me their names or how they passed or what they look like
Yes.
and stuff like that. And I remember one time, there was a football pool, that you go in, you'd put a few bucks, you'd get all, the winners basically. I didn't know a shred about football, mind you. Um, but so the first week I won. The second week I was second place. The third week I won, and then I had to drop out. I'm like, I understand this is really about people that are into football and their knowledge, not about people's psychic abilities. So I just kind of bowed out that way. But here's a kind of an important question, especially for people that are just starting on their awakening journey. Yeah, what challenges came up for you, and how were you able to maybe work through those challenges? Spiritual awakening, it's like a death and a rebirth. At least that's
Yeah.
how I see it.
Yeah, I had it pretty plain sailing until about 5 years ago, to be honest. So my spiritual awakening was gradual and
Mhm.
really was beautiful and wondrous. Every time I would work with somebody, I would learn something new. I would feel more. I would get more messages, and I always had like great rapport with my clients and everything. And then I remember meditating and thinking how grateful I was and how lucky I was. And I think the spirits were like, okay, let's see about that. And I was, I think I had been going along through life and going through the motions in a way, but there were parts of me that were unhealed. So there was grief, and there were emotions that were unhealed in me. There were things that I had not fully healed. And so when I was giving that gratitude, spirit broke me open, and they were like, it was like as if you may think that you're doing well and you may think that you're fine, but here is a whole other side to you that you have bypassed, basically. And so I spent about 4 years. Now, it wasn't all the time, but there were times that I went through extreme difficulty letting go of the old self. And this is all part of the ascension, letting go of the conditioned Elaine, basically, the one who was conditioned from childhood to be this type of person or that type of person. And my heart was basically broken open so that it could mend and come back together again. And it wasn't pretty, it wasn't, oh, this is lovely, I can talk to spirit and I'm having a lovely life. It was hard, and it was long, and it was painful. And I'm happy to say I think I'm at the other side. But I'm a different person now, and I'm a stronger person for it, and I'm grateful for it as well.
That's the key,
Yeah.
like they say, the universe isn't here to break you, it's here to make you. And I just need to share something because it's very, very succinct in what you're saying. I had this awakening. I mean, things were happening, physical law was just like being bent. Like I was reading people's minds. I was like seeing two faces with people, and I knew that they were lying. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I could go into nature, do breathing exercises, the wind would blow, animals would come to me. Crazy things were happening, but I was getting increasingly withdrawn. I was getting so sensitive to people. You're saying how you love people. I mean, I do too, but I
Mm,
was going through this phase where I was just getting so empathic. Like I felt every complicated emotion, and I had to drink alcohol just to be social. And I do
mm,
not like alcohol. I never did, but I had to do that. So one
mm,
day I went out into the woods. That was my savior. I'd sit in my room or go to the woods. I got to the point where I just was isolating. I went
mm,
up and I had the spirit guide I called John. I still have that. I think that's John from Revelations, John. But and when he would come through, everything would get very still. The animals would stop, the birds would stop. And his messages were usually like 2 or 3 words, and then maybe a parting thought like, you humans are so complicated or
yeah.
whatever. But basically, he said, you've gone as far as you can go, and now you've got to go back to the earth. And after that, it was like a descent into the belly of the beast. I even wound up in jail for a period for just some crazy, stupid thing that 20 or something year old people do. And so
Mhm.
so that's my quick challenging story of that. So let me see, what else do we have? I have obviously a list of possible questions here. um and well, here's a good thing. Are talking about, one of my spirit guides, John, that was, guiding me through this journey. And again, it was like, there's so many things happening. It's like physical law just was starting to break down, like the
Yeah.
Matrix was breaking down before that was even a thing
Mhm.
in my world. Um, so how have your guides and angels been able to assist you now? You started to touch on that, and you
Mhm.
had, these challenging things. Do you feel like your guides were there, with you and helping you to work through things like that?
Yeah, I think so, because they would give me answers. I often get answers when I'm asleep. So sometimes I would have like an angel or a spirit guide appear in my bedroom and speak to me and give me answers. And so that's one way I got through it. I think sometimes I also forget to ask for help for myself. It's
Mm,
probably one of my life lessons.
too.
Yeah, yeah, to remember to ask for help. But one of the things that's my savior, just like you, Adam, is the woods. going to the woods, and I don't do it as much here now. I did go somewhere completely new for me yesterday, and I was in a beautiful woods here in Florida. But when I'm in Ireland, I go to a nearby park, and there are trees there that I connect with. And just being in that kind of mossy, earthy environment is really, really good for me. So I would say the trees and the and nature and earth is as much a guide for me as angels or spirits or ascended masters or even my ancestors.
Sure.
Perhaps maybe an even better connection to nature than those who are, I would say, above us. How I see
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, that's how I see it.
So, it's interesting. I wanted to flash this as kind of a comment and a question.
Hmm.
And my answer to that is work on your grounding. Yeah,
Hmm.
we talked about the pine trees here in upstate New York. The pine trees are the first trees to go down in the storms here because they have shallow root systems.
Mm.
Get your root systems deep into the earth and open your heart. And that's what's been helping me to, it's despite being very empathic and feeling people's energies. If I'm open, somebody thinks about me, I feel their energy. So
Yeah,
you,
that's very, very true. I actually can't see that question. What is the question, Adam?
yeah, well, really, the question said, this is where I am now, minus the alcohol. I really dread having to be around people. So I was just asking, what you could do for people that are very empathic, that are awakening, that are having that problem, that it's hard for them to be around people.
Yeah, that's, that's a tough one. And I would
Yeah,
spend a lot of my time helping clients like that. A lot of my clients are highly evolved people, and they often have a lot of difficulty with, taking on other people's energy. Or some of my clients, stray entities or spirits seem to be attracted to them because they see them as being someone who can help them. So a lot of the time I have to help remove entities from others, but I do always say strengthen your boundaries, strengthen your message to the universe. Are you saying I'm here to help everybody? Is that the broadcast message you're putting out to the universe? Or are you also focusing on yourself and your own life? And I would just say have very strong boundaries, work on your boundaries and the grounding, just like you said, Adam. I think when you ground with nature, you really can't go wrong.
that's such good advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Um, yeah, Tracy, you must be psychic because that's on my list of things to answer. So basically, what advice would you have to people who are just starting to awaken? And then Tracy just chimed in saying, "What advice is Elaine called to offer?" So
So, what advice for people who are starting to awaken? Well, I mentioned earlier about when you feel compelled to do
yeah,
something. That's your soul, really. Your soul is saying this is your path, and don't ignore it, because it's going to come knocking on your door anyway, again and then again and again, until you fulfill your soul's mission. So I would say, when you feel compelled to listen to something, to learn something new, follow that. I would also say definitely turn off the news. Turn off even the ads on the radio. The ads on the radio here are designed to put you into anxiety, to
yep.
make you think about everything that could go wrong in your life. So I turn off all of that. But I would say, take the time to listen to some of the healers. Now they're not all great, but also listen to your intuition on that. If you're drawn to a particular person, you are drawn to them for a reason. So take the time to listen to people on YouTube, read some of the good spiritual books, take time out for yourself, listen to yourself, listen to your own inner being. So much can be achieved by just sitting in a chair and tuning into your own higher self, your own soul, your own spirit. That's where all the guidance is. So don't farm it out. Listen to yourself. So that's what would be my guidance, I think, in a nutshell.
I think that's excellent
Yeah.
guidance, and I'm loving. I'm not posting every comment that I'm seeing, but I'm loving
Yeah.
the comments and the questions that are coming up. your boundaries, definitely all really really good advice. And so just as a fun little question, one thing I didn't mention in the beginning that I should have is that Elaine's going to be kind enough to do a little third eye activation for everybody that's here. That as a video also. But just wondering, do you have a vision for humanity? Do you see, something in your mind or your guides or the trees or whoever's giving you some idea of where humanity's going? It's interesting with you touched on the control aspects of things, with the news and the media. There's a lot of programming, a lot of it's in frequencies, and another thing that I don't know if I mentioned this before, but be in your heart center, ground and be in the heart. The heart cannot be programmed. That's the key that everybody needs to know. Our heart, when we can open our heart in the frequency of the gratitude, appreciation, and love. And this isn't just my experiences. This is scientifically validated now. Look up Dr. Teresa Bullard. She's done a lot of work with this. But when you're able to do that, you tap into the master frequency of the universe. You can't be programmed by these people out there to be in fear and to be in survival mode all the time and to diminish your power. It just can't happen when you're in the heart frequency. So the more you're in your heart, the less susceptible you are to programming. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled question. Where do you see humanity going, if I may ask?
Yeah. I think that's a really deep question, and I'm wondering, does it have a
Yeah.
simple answer? But I suppose if I were to take it from my own personal perspective, I know that I'm heading towards ascension. I know that I have changed from, Elaine, who was in her 20s, who lived a very simple life, who didn't have a lot of vision or interaction with spirit or the other side, who didn't even know what dimensionality was. And now I can move between dimensions, and I can see, feel, hear, and know many, many things that are beyond the human body, the emotions, the mind, etc. But I feel everybody is going that way. And in particular, I have seen some of my clients, I've seen the most astounding things happen with my clients. One so astounding was last week I was talking to a man in Asia. And as we worked through some of his issues, I saw him evolve into his full bodhisattva self. And the bodhisattva is like the Dalai Lama. So you're the highest evolution of his being. And I know from this man that he has been in that bodhisattva self in other lifetimes. He has been an evolved monk. And so I saw it for myself before my very eyes. And I've seen this with a few of my clients. And I feel that's where we're going. The more people who move towards enlightenment, even in the smallest ways, the more we are in our heart centers, the more we love ourselves and love others, the more we share with each other, the more we create community, the more we are in our hearts rather than in our heads and listening to outside and false agendas, the more life can expand for us in really beautiful ways and in simple ways. Loving and caring for each other, creating good lives, based on living well, eating well, enjoying life, enjoying nature, enjoying what the earth has to offer. That's the direction I think we're going in. It's more a heart-centered life. It's a more enlightened life. It's a more balanced life, and it's a more beautiful life. That I feel that's the direction we're going in.
That's so beautiful. And that is perfect. And by the way, guys, I've done the healing session with Elaine. I know people. I can pretty much well, not pretty much. I can absolutely validate everything that she's saying about her abilities, her experiences, what she's able to do for clients. And if you guys would you'd like to contact her and get more information, well, her website's right on the screen for you. And she has a phone contact if you guys want to take that down. That's also her WhatsApp number. And of course, most people use email. So here with the email is, yep, I spelled everything right, just making sure. Um, so would you like to do a little third eye activation for us?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Yay.
So for everybody who's watching now and who will watch later, so you can also call your own energy into this activation. So if you're watching this now after the fact, a week later or so on, bring in your own energy into this activation. So first of all, I'd like you to close your eyes, and I would like you to look at your third eye. Now, the third eye is located basically in the center of your forehead. So if you close your eyes, you're going to be looking up and inward. Now, in far distant times, our third eyes used to be very open and very active. So we could see through different layers of reality, and we could see them all at the same time. But due to the fall of Atlantis, our third eyes became deactivated.
Mm.
So if you are looking at your third eye, I want you to think, is it the size of a pea, as in a pea that you would eat? Or is it the size of a golf ball? Or is it somewhere in between? So if it's the size of a pea, it's not as activated as it could be. And if it's the size of a golf ball, you're doing pretty well. It means that you have psychic abilities, you're probably clairvoyant. And you can actually activate your third eye by breathing up through the central channel in your body. So if you imagine a central channel in your body, you could imagine maybe that it's your spine and that your spine is a hollow tube. And you're going to breathe up through your spine and up into your third eye. And as you're doing this, you are energizing your third eye. So imagine, visualize that you are energizing your third eye. So breathing up through your spine, bringing all that energy and oxygen and activation up into your third eye. And you can do this in a very relaxed way. There's no pressure here. This is just peaceful and relaxing. Bringing energy into your third eye. So if it was the size of a pea when you first started, you may see it gently expand or gently open up. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little transmission while you continue to breathe and activate your own third eye. I'm going to send some healing energy, some activating energy into the third eyes of all those who are listening now. Breathing up through that central channel, activating your third eye. You might even see some colors. You might be perceiving violet or purple, or maybe even gold or deep magenta. And you may feel that your third eye is just softening and relaxing and gently opening up in a way that feels very easy and relaxed. No fear here, just relaxing into an ability that you always had. And letting go now of any tension in your body, any resistance to opening up your third eye. Just relaxing the arms, relaxing the hands, and letting go of any resistance or fear of opening up your third eye. And know that when your third eye is more fully opened, you can perceive the truth more. You have a better lens to the world. You can tell when somebody is speaking the truth or not speaking the truth. You can tell when somebody has like a false front on to you. And I find this very helpful when you are hiring people to help you. It's very good to have that lens open to the world. And just now, I would like you to drop into your hearts. And I would like you to give yourself some love in your heart. Breathing in love and breathing out love. Breathing in love and breathing out love. And allowing your heart channel and your heart center to open up more and more. And when your heart is aligned with your third eye, when they both feel soft and gentle and open, that is when you become more and more intuitive. And taking one deep breath and saying, and so it is. And I honor all those who have participated in this today. And this is something you can do for yourself whenever you want to, whenever you have a quiet moment. And so it is.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I totally felt it. And I was like in the space. And then, of course, my monkey mind kicked in and said, you know, you're still doing an interview. I'm like, oh, right. I better not come too far.
Come back, Adam. Come back. Very
Oh
good.
my goodness. So yeah, that was awesome. So if you want to get in contact with Elaine, again, website's being flashed as I speak. Email is right here. And if you guys are enjoying this interview, I'm remembering Claire and other people that keep reminding me. Yeah, please hit the like button, and that can help share this video with more people. And if you enjoy what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel, then you'll get more information. On Thursday, we have a video coming out with channeling with the master teachers to tap into the abundance frequency. Then Friday, we're doing new moon channeling with, I think, with Heather Istara, who's actually studied with Elaine, by the way. And you guys know that she's really, really good also. So I think, I can't say 100% because I haven't checked with her schedule, but I believe we're both going to be doing channeling that day. Then Sunday, I've got Betty Hansen coming, who's a very advanced teacher and healer. So she's going to do her awakening story on Sunday. So that's basically what I got coming up. Here's also Elaine's WhatsApp if you prefer to contact her that way, which is the same as her I guess her mobile number, but her phone number. And that's great. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much, Elaine, for this. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Adam. A pleasure. I love doing these interviews with you. They're great.
My pleasure as always. All right, so we're going to end now. So thanks everybody for being here and for being part of this, whether you're live or you're watching this as a video. We're all connected through time and space, through the heart, through the portal of the heart and the energy of community and oneness. So I love you. Thanks again. And we're going to end. Bye. Ciao.
Bye. Take care.
Aloha.
Bye.